Beardo Benjo.
Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel. I still have no idea where to put my camera. I'm actually filming on my mobile phone right now because my normal camera's up there and the angle's all weird. I'll get there eventually. Moving house is very hard, but also very nice. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another brand new VR games roundup video. Today we're looking at February 2023, and obviously this is the month where PSVR 2 is finally releasing and we can all go hands-on with this amazing new piece of VR hardware. I am exceptionally excited for this and all the new games that are coming along with it, but they're not the only new games coming out this month. There are still some PCVR releases and some Quest releases to be excited about if that's more your thing, or if you're just not interested in PSVR 2. Before we jump into the video, please do let me know if you're interested in PSVR 2. I'm curious about the excitement level in the VR community. Let me know in the comments down below if you're buying one yourself, or if you're thinking of buying one at some point in the future, or if you're really not interested at all. I would love to know. Let's jump into it. These are all the new VR games launching in February 2023. Up first this month is Survival Nation, a new entry into the ever-growing catalogue of VR zombie games. However, this one is pretty damn good and manages to combine satisfying combat, a fairly large open world, RPG elements, questing, hunting, fishing, crafting, and online co-op into one complete VR survival package. I've played around 4 hours of this one myself, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the co-op elements elevate the game when it launches. If done correctly, this could be an exceptionally popular title indeed. Here's hoping the devs have a robust plan for post-launch content, as I'd love to see some base building, new map locations and boss zombies added at some point in the future. Swinging all over the place like Spider-Man is one of the best feelings in VR if done correctly. Few games have attempted it, but only a small number of them have succeeded. One of the games that achieved this feat with flying colours was Windlands 2, a game that focuses primarily on exploration and the feeling of traversal whilst guiding players through a colourful world complete with enemies to defeat and characters to meet. On the 2nd of February, Windlands 2 finally comes to the official Quest 2 store for a whole new generation of VR users. If you enjoy exciting bow and arrow based combat, exploring vast colourful worlds, or just pretending that you're Spider-Man, then this game is well worth checking out. Barbaria VR is a bit like Gorn meets Age of Empires. It blends first-person hacking, slashing and smashing with an RTS-style building mechanic, whereby players can piece together the world around them by building structures that require defending. The first-person combat is brutal, bloody and over the top in a highly cartoonish way, with physics-based combat interactions that allow you to fling enemies around using traps, weapons or your own two hands. This one is launching on the 9th of February, and I'm sure it will keep bloodthirsty VR players in need of some Gorn-style combat very happy indeed. I've just realised that 4 of the games I'm covering in today's video feature zombies, or a creature similar to a zombie. Perhaps there are too many VR zombie games. We need a new monster of the week. Where are all the games about yetis or mermen? On the 16th of February, Drop Dead the Cabin is launching for Quest 2, a vibrant wave shooter that reminds me of the classic Call of Duty's zombies formula. Your goal is to defend the titular cabin against waves of zombies who grow ever more difficult and unusual. Surviving for long enough will open up an extraction point and allow you and any friends you've chosen to play alongside to escape the horror and live to see another day. The game also has slight roguelike elements, which mean no 2 runs are ever the same. Enemies, pickups, objectives and locations are remixed for each attempt, so Drop Dead should provide hours of entertainment for fans of zombie blasting goodness. District Steel is my potential sleeper hit of February 2023. It's being developed by a new indie studio, and from the gameplay previews it looks exactly like my kind of game. A brand new single player VR sci-fi FPS with high intensity full locomotion, time slowing abilities and plenty of robots to tear in half. You can rocket jump, slide along the floor at high speed, blast enemies with a variety of different weapons and even physically rip your robot foes into pieces. Those who wanted more Robo Recall should really check this one out when it releases on the 16th of February. On the 22nd of February, PlayStation VR 2 is finally released into the wild. I cannot wait to get my hands on this brand new VR headset. Now, I'm not going to sit here and go over every single launch game, because of course they are new VR games coming out this month, but most of them are upgrades or new versions of existing VR titles. I will be covering the games that are new to the PlayStation VR. They're the ones we're going to go over in just a second, but rest assured there are around 30 different launch titles for the PlayStation VR 2 coming this month, and that list keeps growing. There are still more VR games that haven't been announced just yet for PlayStation's new VR hardware. But let's have a little look at the games which are exclusive and brand new for the PSVR 2. What more can be said about Resident Evil Village? I've played this game through around 7 times in total now, and I'm still beyond excited to dive back in on PlayStation VR 2. Now, I did of course play through the entire game with the fantastic Prey Dog VR mod on PC, but nothing beats a native VR game, especially on brand new hardware with that fantastic resolution, the high clarity of those new screens, dual wielding. This is going to be the definitive way to play Resident Evil Village. If you want to be immersed into this world, then this is the way to do it. It really feels like Sony are positioning Resi Village to be the crown jewel in its PSVR 2 lineup, alongside Horizon and Gran Turismo 7. Those are the 3 games that really look to showcase what this thing can do on launch day. Also, it is worth mentioning, if you do already own Resident Evil Village on PlayStation 5, it will be getting a free upgrade to the VR version, so you won't even have to drop a single penny if you are picking up a PSVR 2 on launch day. Now look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I am still quite upset that we're not getting a Astrobot PSVR 2 launch game where Astrobot himself teaches us about all the fancy new features of this amazing new hardware. It felt like the perfect opportunity to do that. Astrobot was already positioned in that way when PS5 launched, so why not do the same for PSVR 2? However, in my opinion, it looks like Horizon Call of the Mountain is being treated as the introduction title for new PSVR 2 owners. It's aiming to fully utilize the suite of new features, it's visually incredible, it's an iconic franchise, and it's an exclusive IP. Call of the Mountain will almost certainly be the game that most PSVR 2 users play first, and it feels like Sony know that all too well. I can only imagine what the game looks like inside the headset, and my eyes are very excited to find out. I still want a new Astrobot though. I've gone on record multiple times saying I'm not the biggest fan of racing games, but recently I've thrown myself into a few VR titles. Dirt Rally 2.0, Assetto Corsa, Drift X Racing, to name drop a couple, and I'm starting to understand the appeal. Gran Turismo 7 VR makes perfect sense. The launch lineup for PSVR 2 really needed a simulation title like this to appeal to the widest audience, and my only real worry here is the lack of VR gameplay we've seen so far. It has been confirmed that the entirety of Gran Turismo 7 will be VR compatible, and I'm sure that will be enough to win over 99% of GT fans looking for a VR experience. However, it is a little strange that this one was announced so late and hasn't received much gameplay coverage. We won't have to wait long to find out just what GT7 in VR is like though, as this one is also a launch title on the 22nd of February. The last exclusive new title for PSVR 2 launch day is the Light Brigade. However, this one is also releasing for Quest 2 and PCVR players. It's a brand new psychological roguelite shooter set in a trippy mindscape battlefield with enemies and weaponry ripped straight from World War II. You start each run with a standard issue rifle and loot for powerful attachments like explosive charms, poison gun barrels, tactical scopes, silencers, and more. If you fall to enemy fire, you need to survive long enough to retrieve your fallen soul, or you'll lose your run progress to permadeath. Light Brigade has a great visual style and a premise intriguing enough to win me over. This will definitely be one of the first PSVR 2 titles I jump into. Those are all the new exclusives for PSVR2 on launch day. Sadly, my most anticipated PSVR2 launch title, Switchback, the sequel to Until Dawn Rush of Blood, was recently delayed. However, I wanted to quickly highlight two PSVR2 launch titles that aren't necessarily new games but do deserve some love. Firstly, Song in the Smoke Rekindled. This VR survival game is so incredibly unique. It pits players up against far more imposing and magical foes than something like Green Hell VR, and it leans heavily into a more horror-centric vibe as the nights are overwhelmingly dark and filled with terrors. The game has been fully upgraded for PSVR2 hardware with new visuals, mechanics, and a laundry list of changes that I couldn't possibly rattle off here. If there is one PSVR2 title that looks almost like a new game even though it isn't, it's Song in the Smoke. And secondly, I have to shout out Pavlov, which has also been confirmed as a PSVR2 launch title. Pavlov is perfectly positioned to be an incredibly popular addition to Sony's new VR system. As the only online PvP shooter available to players from day one, it's a no-brainer pickup for anyone who wants to experience what competitive online VR is like. Pavlov is of course also one of the very best VR shooters, and seeing what they've been able to do with the new tech and power is very exciting indeed. We're finishing off today's video with two potential titles that could be coming out in February. These games are both slated for a Q1 2023 release, and Q1 is quickly running out. The first game is Mixture, a single-player fantasy action-adventure game coming to Meta Quest 2. Although you play solo, you'll simultaneously control two unique characters, an exiled knight and an alchemist, each with their own complex skill set. The game leans heavily into action and combat, with two offensive player characters, a dynamic camera, numerous boss fights, and more. The story follows an exiled knight, Solar the Moth, who traverses dangerous barren worlds of living metals, ores, and crystals to find means of redemption and a way back to her native realm. Think Moss, but with a lot more emphasis on the action and the combat, and instead of a cute little mouse, it's like a weird moth knight person. So that's pretty cool. The final game in today's video is the Signifier VR. Now this game doesn't have an official release date just yet. It is still scheduled for a Q1 2023 release. So that could mean Feb, March, or perhaps even April. However, if it does come out soon, then make sure to pay it some attention, as this looks like it could be one of the most unique and visually arresting titles on the Quest 2. The game seems to put players in the shoes of a detective who conducts his or her work within the minds of his or her clients, exploring and piecing together memories in a trippy dreamscape whilst piecing together clues and solving mysteries. Sounds like the kind of weird VR goodness I love. The game also looks visually incredible on Quest if this announcement trailer is anything to go by. And that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like, leave a comment, and hit subscribe. I'll be back very soon for more videos. But before you go, drop a comment down below and let me know if you're picking up any of these titles. But more importantly, let me know if you're picking up a PSVR2. I am very interested to hear how popular this thing is going to be, not just amongst my audience, but the VR community in general. I'm very excited for it, but am I just living in a bubble? Am I just excited for everything? I do get excited quite easily, so maybe it's just me. Let me know down in the comments below. I'll see you very soon for another one. Take care, guys.